Hi, everyone. This is health coach and nutritionist and fitness expert Val Fiott. I'm excited about today's video because if you take this information to heart, it's really going to change your life. Speaking of your heart, today we're talking about mindful eating and a heart healthy diet rich in omega 3s and in the right macros or macronutrients for your body. We'll get in depth into that in just a moment. Before we get started with the video, I'm going to ask you to please like and subscribe so that you support the video and get it to more people by clicking like, and so that you support the channel and get to see more videos like this in the future by subscribing to this channel. All right, that said, let's get into the podcast here today. So, we're talking about first, what is mindful eating, right? Well, mindful eating just means that you're not eating so much out of convenience or out of comfort or to feed into your emotions so much, that instead you're thinking about food in the more applicable sense, in a practical way, where food's intention is not so much just to taste good and just to be used as like a comfort food against negative emotions, but food is something that you really care about. You care about your choices, or at least that's what we want in mindful eating. And so you strategize with your food. You want to plan out your meals to get the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbohydrates, the right amount of fat, which is often called following your macros or tracking your macros. And you want to choose the foods that are really going to build health in the body. Too often, people think about health in terms of something that's genetic or that seems to just be luck and fairly out of our hands. But we know that that's not the case. Genetics play a pretty small role in terms of your health outcomes, in terms of whether you're going to have joint trauma, whether you're going to have cognitive decline over the years, or heart disease, which is the number one killer in the country. And so your lifestyle and your exercise and certainly your nutrition all have a lot to do with that. That's really where the term heart healthy diet came from, or heart healthy nutrition. It's really just that heart disease is the number one killer, and it has been for a very long time. And so if you're giving your body what it needs nutritionally, your heart is going to be healthy and happy. You're going to have reduced risk of stroke and heart attack and all kinds of related problems. And therefore, you're going to have a better life. You're going to be less likely to be hospitalized and medicated in those final decades of your life. So we want to think ahead, and that's what mindful eating is all about. Now, let's get further into what I'm talking about when I say heart healthy diet. So, up until I would say the last 10 or 15 years, it was pretty clear that a heart healthy diet to most nutritionists really meant that you had a certain serving amount of fruits and vegetables every day, and that was pretty critical. And usually we were also told we want to keep our meat levels fairly low. I would say today, given the abundance of science that we have, that that's no longer really a fair thing to say. I think now there's very strong arguments for diets that are very rich in fruits and vegetables or that are almost devoid of fruits and vegetables. So I don't think that the only way to do this anymore, when you look at the totality of the data, is to suggest, like we always had before, that high fruits and vegetables are important every day. What I would still say, though, matters a lot is eating organic food. And this did not used to be much of a concern long ago. In fact, we didn't call it organic long ago, we just called it food. But now that food has gotten so toxic, now that we've got so many pesticides and problems, and we don't have, there's so many things that have happened to our food. Let's put it that way, that at this point in time, eating more organic is certainly going to be a better choice for you. It doesn't completely negate some of the harsh chemicals and such that you can find on your food. Some of it's certainly still going to be there, but organic's a better way to go. Okay, so now that said, now that we've talked about organic and we've talked a little bit about macros, let's dive more in to why proteins, carbs, and fats should be consumed in the right quantities for your body. Long story short is everyone's going to have different macronutrient needs based upon their weight, based upon their body composition, based upon their activities or lack thereof. And so if you just gave everybody the same or even a similar meal plan, you'd be doing a disservice to almost everybody, because some people have a need for a lot of protein in a day, 200 grams or more. Some people have a need for a very small amount of protein in a day, 50 or so grams will do it. Same can be said for carbohydrate intake or for dietary fat intake. So I'm not saying there's an exact precise number that you have to follow, but there's a spectrum on all those three macronutrients that is going to be applicable for your body. And if you get outside of that spectrum, either too much or too little, we're going to cause problems for your body, and really your heart's a big part of that. Let me give you a quick example. So let's say that your dietary fat should be somewhere between 40 and 50 grams per day, just speaking totally hypothetically. And instead of staying within that range, you consumed 70 or 80 grams in a day. Well, what's going to happen with that excess dietary fat is the same thing that would happen with excess carbs and generally excess protein as well, is that can be turned into body fat. And so that's okay if you're under fat and now you gain a little bit more body fat. That's okay if you don't have enough. But if your body, like most bodies, has more than enough body fat, has adipose, now you're adding more adipose. And that's not heart healthy at all, because the more excess body fat you have on your body, you're probably aware, the more excess body fat you have, the more inclined your body's going to be towards heart disease and all kinds of other problems too. It's not just heart healthy. We're also talking now about joint distress and poor biomechanics and all kinds of other problems. So, and again, you can make that argument for any of the macronutrients. If you get too much, you're going to have problems. And if you get too little, you're cheating the body out of what it needs, and your systems are not going to run as optimally. And you're usually not going to feel quite as good either. So let's get away from macronutrients now that we have an understanding on that. Let's talk more about omega-3. Now, you'll often find data on omega-3 telling you how much to eat in a day. And generally, omega-3, the recommendation is about 1 gram per day, all the way up to about 1.5 or even closer to 2 grams per day per person, depending upon body size and a few other things. I don't necessarily suggest looking at it that way. I think what's more important is to look at the ratio of omega-3s that you're getting in a day compared to omega-6s. Not only does that seem to be of a little bit more importance, but I think most people find it to be a little bit easier. Most of my clients have found that to be a little bit simpler to follow. And also, your calorie needs are always going to be different. So if you just follow the ratio as best you can, that's usually going to be easier if we're going through, say, a cut phase where we drop your calories a lot, and then through more of a muscle gaining phase where we bump them up. But anyway, that's a little bit of a different story. So I hope this has all been really helpful for you. I put together a couple of downloads for you in the description here. One is a list of foods that are high in protein, and the other is a list of foods that are very high in omega-3. So hopefully between those two lists, you can start your meal planning and know which foods you want to gravitate towards, what combinations you might be wanting to put together, what's going to work well and be convenient for your life and be sustainable for the long term. And so hopefully those two lists are going to be helpful to you. As always, please go ahead and reach out to me. You can comment down below, or you can give me a call. My phone number is also in the description. Reach out to me in any way you need to get the right help. I'm looking forward to your health and your wellness success. Take care, everybody.